Hello, so I've got my first long form video here. Hopefully it's something that you guys are interested in, and something that I can continue to make in the future. My first deck video is going to be about Asmo and Magic. I just in the Kudika. This is like my favorite card in Magic and my favorite thing to brew around. And I've got a really cool Gruul aggro deck using Asmo here, so I'm just going to do a quick deck check and then we'll jump into the videos. I recorded a league gameplay and then added in commentary after the fact. So this way I could cut down 2 hours worth of gameplay down to an hour, which is quite nice. And it also just helps me concentrate. Obviously, I've not recorded videos before, so having to talk and play at the same time is a bit hard. Just looking at my deck though, in case you're unfamiliar, the core of the Asmo package is Asmo, Cookbook, and Daredevil. Asmo needs you to discard something to cast it, and when she enters, she goes and finds a cookbook. She can sacrifice 2 food and destroy a creature, or a creature deals 6 damage to itself. And then to abuse that, we need the Daredevil. So the Daredevil says when an artifact enters, it comes back to your hand. So basically, you use the cookbook, discard the Daredevil, it makes a food, with the Daredevil seeds of food in play, and then comes back to your hand. So you can activate the cookbook with 0 downside, is the game plan of these. We're a green-based Asmo deck. That means we get access to Gilded Goose, which makes food as well. This is super important. The ramp on the Gilded Goose, not really needed, but just the fact that it's 1 mana make a food, and also 2 mana create foods down the line can be really strong. So you can have a goose and a cookbook in play with an Asmo, and then you can make 2 food every turn to kill a creature every single turn. It's really strong. The main reason you want to go green though for Asmo decks is for Finale of Devastation. This card reads 2 mana, put Asmo into play, or 3 mana, shoot up something else, or 4 mana, shoot up something else, you know. It's really strong. It can get Asmos out of the graveyard, which is really nice. A lot of the time, if you've got an Asmo in the graveyard, you want to take the Asmo out of your graveyard, so then you have a higher chance of drawing another Asmo further down the line, if that makes sense. You don't want to thin your deck with Asmos if you can help it, in most matchups at least. So, yeah, this card is like the bread and butter. It's Asmo's copies 8, 5 to 8, and it just gives you a lot of consistency because Asmo really entering gets us the cookbook, which puts our whole deck online, and it's having 8 copies of it is super nice. So yeah, this is like a green package in Asmo. We got Sandra's Steelseeker as a payoff for all the food. So when an artifact enters, you basically can surveil one, and then if a card you're surveilling is a land, you just put it into your hand. It can be really nice if you've not got Daredevil to cycle cards, but with Daredevil, it's such a good top deck in the mid game. That's why we're only running 2 copies. We don't need 4 of them. We just need to find 1 or 2, well, 1 of them in the mid game, and then hopefully that will take us across the finish line. Or stabilizers if we're going trading 1-for-1 with opponents a lot. There is something I want to try with Duskmourn. I've not got Duskmourn cards on here yet, but I do want to try Fear of Missing Out in this place because we are an aggro deck. Some of the cards yet to show. So Fear of Missing Out would let us have multiple combat steps with a Troll King or with a Detective's Phoenix. So I do want to try that, and it's hopefully I can get the hold of those cards soon. We have Malevolent Rumble. It's just a nice dig card. Puts Daredevils, Phoenix, and Trolls into the graveyard, as well as buying back our Asmos or our cookbooks. Yeah, just a solid green card here. Not much to say about it. Detective's Phoenix is really cool in this deck. You can attach it to Asmo, have a 5/5 flyer, which gets it out of removal range for a lot of red decks. Or we can attach it to a Troll King and have a 9/8 flyer with haste, vigilance, and trample, which just wins the game pretty much every single time it enters. We only got 3 Phoenixes, but it's enough with Rumbles. We only particularly need 1 at any given point. There's times obviously where 2 is nice. But yeah, this card is really strong. our mana curve is kind of low outside of the Troll King, and a lot of the times we want to attack for Phoenix too for Troll King. So we've got Generous Ent in the mana basin down here. That's one Generous Ent pays for the Phoenix's cost. And there is situations where I use Daredevil to pay for a Phoenix cost. Generous Ent is also really nice in Asmo. These land cyclers are really cool because they discard a card, so then you can cast Asmo. So a lot of the time you can go turn 1, play a land, turn 2, you can cycle the Ent, get a Stomping Ground, shock in the Stomping Ground and play Asmo. And this is just a really nice way of adding a bit more consistency to the deck without really hurting us much at all. In our 1-drop spot here, we've got some artifacts and some lightning bolts. Artifacts, obviously, to tutor from Urza Saga in a mana base. And lightning bolts are just generic good card, just a bit of extra removal. Removal's quite good right now, especially with Boros being so strong. And then the Feast and Troll King, which if you've not seen before, you can sacrifice 3 foods to return it to a battlefield. And then it's just a 7/6 for 0 mana with Vigilance and Trample. And like this card on turn 2 is ridiculous. We can turn to it, we do turn to it in these leagues. Basically what you need is turn 1 Cookbook, discard something, turn 2 play Goose, discard something with discard the Troll King with your Cookbook. That's 3 food on the battlefield. You can have a turn 2 Troll King with a mana spare. So you can actually, there is a world where you can turn to Troll King and Phoenix. If you have your opening hand, if your opening hand is 2 Cookbooks, I think. So if your opening hand is 2 Cookbooks, a Phoenix, a Troll King, and like a Generous Ent. Oops, sorry. And a Generous Ent. You can go turn 1, discard Generous Ent with Cookbook. So when you're on a food, then untap. Turn 2, play your second Cookbook, discard a Phoenix and a Troll. Bring the Troll back for free, bring the Phoenix back onto the Troll, exile in the Ent. And then you've got a 9/8 on turn 2 with Flying, Vigilance, Trample, and Haste. I've not managed to do that yet. I have had it on turn 3, but not turn 2, and even on turn 3, that is considerably fast enough. But yeah, super nice deck. All goes together really well. We'll just look at the sideboard quickly. We've got 1 of Endurance, 1 of Force of Vigor, and 1 of Surgical Extraction. You can play these sort of however makes you feel like needs mixing up. Obviously, Endurance and Endurance and Surgical are sort of in the same ballpark, so yeah, I would say Endurance is better against Boros and Mardu, and Surgical is better against other combo decks. Charmor is really good for Tron and Eldrazi. I think our Eldrazi matchup is fine, but Through the Breach is a bit hard. So Charmor hopefully slows them down enough so that we can win. So we've got 3 Charmors. I've got Void Mirror to help similar matchups against Tron, and we've got a bunch of we got 2 Damping Spheres, which obviously also help against these big mana decks and help against Ruby Storm particularly. Crack Clan Shaman is a fun tutor target for Finale of Devastation. So for 3 mana, we can put this straight into play, and it just board wipes against go wide decks like energy decks, or the other, there's a few other go wide decks at the moment. So it sacrifices an artifact and deals 1 damage to each creature without flying. This is really cool because if we strap a Phoenix to it, it's going to avoid damaging itself, and then it can just be on the board and just taking out X1s or X2s really easily. Especially with Cookbook, it makes so much extra food. So there's definitely situations where this is significantly stronger than Asmo for clearing the board. But yeah, just a nice little bit of spice. And then we've got 4 tutor targets for Saga. So Shadow Spear obviously for the aggro matchups, Piffing Needle for more combo-y matchups, Vexing Bauble is against like 0 mana counterspell decks, and for against some combo decks that are using 0 mana, like Belcher at the moment, using Lotus Bloom, or stuff like this. And then Haywire Might, we do have 1 main, but 2 is always nice. There's a lot of 1 rings at the moment. But yeah, that's the deck tech. We'll just go into the gameplay and then we'll have a little wrap up at the end. Okay, so jumping into round 1, we have won the dice roll and we're on the play. Mulligan our first hand is it's just a mountain and Urza Saga, can't cast any of our spells. Our second hand is looking really good. Start off by shocking in a Stomping Ground and playing Gilded Goose to make the food. With this hand I'm probably looking at going for Malevolent Rumble on turn 2, but my opponent has revealed Gigantha and is now force seizing us down to 16, taking our Rumble, which means we're onto the Steel Seeker plan. Steel Seeker is really good in this kind of situation. If it doesn't die, we get 2 surveils effectively and potentially can draw us into more lands. Here it's going to put Double Chase Daredevil into the graveyard, which is really nice. When we play the Haywire Might, we'll get that back, and hopefully we can draw into something like Asmo, but instead we draw into Feasting Troll King. Our opponent's played out a Ajani, so we're going to see a Lightning Bolt on top here, and we decide to keep it. This way we can block the cat token here, and then bolt a Ajani next turn and have his board cleared. I do make a mistake here. I forget to put Lava Spur Boots onto Sandra's Steel Seeker, and the downside of that is it doesn't have ward now. So if the opponent has a creature here, they can just kill my Steel Seeker using the Ajani 0 because there's no ward. We actually have Goblin Bombardment, so we make the cat token and then sack the cat token to kill my Steel Seeker. Obviously this is a bad spot. Having a Steel Seeker on board here makes every top deck artifact a lot stronger. But we're going to play out a little bit. We're attacking for 1 with a Gilded Goose, and our opponent plays out Elegant Parlor as their land drop for turn. Puts Static Prison into a bin and has the second Ajani. We can do the Goblin Bombardment here to flip Ajani and make another cat and ping us again. So we're getting in a couple of damage here. And got an Ajani Planeswalker cooking. We've got 3 cards left in hand and we got 2. Obviously 2 uncastables, but we do top deck Finale Devastation, which is probably our strongest top deck here. We're going to search up Asmo, put her into play and put a Cookbook into hand. Cookbook is like obviously the glue, not even the glue, it's like the engine of this deck. It enables these 2 cards that we've got in hand and not just duds anymore. We'll attack Ajani down to 2. Not in a great situation here still. Any creature, they can just kill my Asmo, which is a bit frustrating. Or, you know, any other removal spell. We have Guide of Souls here, so 0 Ajani deals 3 damage. I can just straight take out Asmo. We gain a life as well and an energy. Correct me for 2. Here, I'm kind of wanting to draw either just another Cookbook or another Asmo or something along those lines. I think it's probably our best out. We find our main deck Soul Guide Lantern. It's not good. We can use it to kill, to exile Ajani from the graveyard. Yeah, we can use it to exile Ajani. And if they, you know, draw a Flage and then try and double Flages, we can stop that. Taking out Ajani here is nice if we have Catherian Nightmare. Does he have Mardu energy? Our opponent has Orcish Bowmaster in hand, and I do some counting, and I'm pretty sure I'm just dead on board. Ajani shoots me for 5, and then we got pings from the Bowmaster. So I'm going to bring in 5 cards here. No, I initially bring in 5 cards, the Haywire Might for enchantments, but I already got 1, and I don't think I need 2. So I just bring in Shadow Spear, Pithing Needle to name Ajani, or a Nightmare, and the 2 Crack Clan Shamans, which can ping out their board if they've got a load of shitters. I cut here, I think this is a mistake, I cut Soul Guide Lantern and then just some other dig cards and a Boots. I don't think I particularly need haste in this matchup outside of Phoenix. I think keeping Soul Guide and bringing in Endurance would have been beneficial here. We do see why in a minute, but Graveyard Hate is good against the Mardu variant of Boros, and it's fine versus the Boros version of Boros. Anyway, my opening hand's really strong. It's got Asmo and a Cookbook and a Daredevil, so it's literally all you can need. I can make 2/3 a turn with this hand. I've got Troll King in case you remove Asmo and I don't have a discard outlet. Like, I don't have a sack outlet for my food, I can then start Troll King in them. I do make a little mistake. I play Forest Mountain turn 1, so I should be able to play out Urza Saga here instead. And then have Asmo and play the Cookbook through Urza Saga mana, but instead I have to play out a Mountain, which I think is fine. I don't really want to be stone ranged by a Blood Moon if I can help it. My opponent's got turn 1 Guide of Souls, so I'm just going to kill that on the spot. This card is what snowballs matchups out of control. We'll make food now at sorcery speed while my opponent's tapped out in case they have any instant speed Graveyard Hate. They shock in Blood Crypt down to 15 and then pass after floating a mana. I think they might have a Fall Season hand, but maybe they're scared of taking too much damage. Either that or they've got Bone Masters up here. So I'll start off my phase by attacking for 3. Playing my Urza Saga, play Gilded Goose to get an extra land drop. And here I'm not particularly scared of anything they could do on turn 3. I have Goose and I have basics to play for Blood Moon, so I'm not going to hold up an Asmo activation. I'd rather have a 7/6 on the field and just try and get them dead as fast as possible here. They have Thraben Charm to destroy my enchantment. So we did have instant speed, Graveyard Hate, which is nice that we played around that. On turn 2 by sorcery speed Daredevil. My opponent has Flage. We got 3 cards in the graveyard, which is obviously an issue. We just need 2 more and they can return Flage from the field, so fetch land gets them, halfway there. We draw our 3rd Cookbook. Not ideal here. So we decide to surveil. We just surveil a Stomping Ground into the yard. So we do this sorcery speed in case we put something good into the yard, like another Feast and Troll King, which we can just get out straight away. I make some food tokens, and then I just pass it back to my opponent after hitting them for 7. So we're in a pretty fine spot here. We can, if we somehow double discharge, or if we double discharge or something my Troll King, I can just bring it back. And I can bring it back every single turn because of 3 cookbooks, which is nice. My opponent just gets some creatures on the board, Johnny's and Ragavan. I top deck a Steel Seeker. Now this is a really great spot for Steel Seeker. This is like the literal ideal spot. We can do so much surveilling here. So I put the video onto 2 times speed in a second, because these take a little while to click through, especially with my opponent thinking. But my opponent decides to crack his Marsh Flats, and he tanks for quite a while here, until he eventually grabs a Elegant Parlor. I guess he doesn't have much in hand for this, puts his Aether Hub into the bin, and then he's got 5 cards in the yard for Flage. So this is where I would really want Endurance or Soul Guide to still be in the deck and have something to dig to here with Steel Seeker. But realistically, if I find a Troll King here, so that's really good. I can put that in the bin, I can get another Troll King on the field and have 2 7 damage attackers with my opponent with 7 life. I'm really just looking for a Phoenix, and I can just kill my opponent this turn. I find Finale on top, so I decide to keep it there. It can search up an Asmo, and this is the kind of board state where Cracked Clan Shaman would be really good, but I kind of forgot about it during the play testing, or during the play. My opponent blocks with just his cat and goes to 1 HP. I think he maybe forgot about Trample, or just doesn't care if he's at 1, because he has a Hasty Flage coming now. So he's going to gain 6 life here, which is an issue. But it's not too bad because I do have 2 7-power attacks on the board. And this is kind of like his whole turn. So he's going to Flage, kill a Troll King with the Flage. with a lightning helix on the attack trigger here as well. I'm nowhere near dead. I've got 19 life, so I just decided to take the damage. And then unless their last spell in hand is a removal spell, I have Lethal on board because I'm going to search up Asmo and kill his 2 blockers here, and then hit him for 7. It looks like he's got no sorcery speed removal, so no static prison, and I'm pretty sure that puts him out of Galvanic Discharge as being an out. So yeah, I just kill. He has Fatal Push, which is fine. I have instant speed, kill 2 of his creatures, and he concedes. Obviously, the Flage there was scary, so I brought in the Soul Guide and the Endurance. I've got a Detective Phoenix and a Gilded Goose. Finding cuts, so it's going to match up is hard. Maybe I should cut a Troll, but Troll seems really good. And Goose can just die to removal, so especially on the draw, I think Goose is worse. Opponent has turn 1 Soul Guide and Plains after mulliganing to 6. We'll play out a Wooded Foothills, and then we'll just have to take 1 and see what he can follow up his Soul Guide with. Something like a Jani would have been really scary, or something like Amtraptor would have been really scary. Luckily, he seems to have neither, and just passes over to us. We'll be in a Finale of Devastation, so our opening hand here is really good. It's got Asmo, 2 Finales, and Daredevil, which means we can have our Asmo removed here, and then we can play another one from hand, and then if needs be, we can shoot to a 3rd Asmo. 3 Asmos in a row is pretty hard to beat for a creature deck. So he's removed our first one with his Static Prison, and he's got Amalia, which is going to gain him energies up to 7 now. Uses 3 of it to give his Guide of Souls flying, which is quite good for us. It does mean we take an extra 2 damage, but we can just use Asmo to deal damage back and kill it. So I decided to go for a Goose here instead of the Asmo first, just to play around any instant speed 0 mana removal. I'm not sure if they play any, I don't think they do, but it's nice to have insurance against Solitude or like Flare of Denial or something like that. Not Flare of Denial, Flare of Malice is it called? Force of Denial. He keeps his Static Prison around, he has a lot of energy, and he just uses Flage to kill my second Asmo. Gains him up to 20 health, and I'm down to 13 after the Amtraptor attack. I still have the Finale of Devastation, and I've drawn another land, so I can start my turn off with Malevolent Rumble and try and find something to answer this Flage. Because obviously just playing out another Asmo hit is not very good if he just recurs Flage and it just dies again. We do find the Endurance that we sideboarded in, so we're rewarded for that, and we cast it. Shuffle their Flage into their deck, and now we're on 2 cards in hand with just an Amtraptor on the field, and I think I'm in a pretty decent spot. I get my second cookbook on the field using the Goose mana and send it back to my opponent. Obviously he decides to keep his Static Prison, has Aetherhook to play. I get really punished for this block here, so he has First Strike, deals 2 damage, and then his last card in hand is Bowmaster and Goblin Bombardment, so he can use a Bowmaster to ping and then ping it with the Goblin Bombardment, and I've got a bad trade. This is a good spot where I could maybe tutor up a Clan Shaman, but instead Malevolent Rumble gets Stomping Ground, I put a Phoenix and a Troll into my bin. I decide to get the Asmo out from my bin. And then go up to all 3 cookbooks. I can destroy both these creatures on board, which puts me in a really good spot. He's got nothing in hand, nothing on board. Or I can just get the Phoenix out and give it haste, which we actually decide to give Asmo haste here. And the reason for this is it makes it a little harder for him to ping out my Asmo. Like if he draws a creature here, and then he can just triple ping Asmo if he needs to. I'm not sure how correct it is going for Troll King and Phoenix here instead of just destroying his board state, but
it seems like a reasonable line to take. It gives me back my Asmo with static prison. There's no point in keeping it around once I've got one on field. So I keep my flying Asmo about. Opponent top decks Guide of Souls and then does attack to give his Antrat to flying and try and race me here. Obviously, bit of a close race, but I do have a chunk blocker, so I just use it. And he puts Gamplay into hand. We have Steel Seeker, which can dig us a bunch, but opponent just concedes. So going into game 2, match 2, sorry. I keep my opening 7. I've won a dice roll, and my opponent has revealed Gigantha. So likely another energy matchup. I go turn 1 cookbook. So I can start pitching these Troll Kings and hopefully get to turn 3 Troll King. My opponent foresees and takes Samwise Steel Seeker, which I think is a massive mistake. I have no idea why they didn't take my land. If they take Generous, then I'm stuck on 1 mana here. Yeah, it seems like a bit crazy to take a 2-drop when I can't cast it. But anyway, I cycle the Ent and Veil Goose into the yard. I did think about keeping it for a little while so that I had an extra food for Troll King, but with the Daredevil draw, I can just make food every turn regardless. My opponent amped Raptors into Guide of Souls, and I use the time to make another food so that I can Troll King next turn. We draw a land for turn, and here I go for Troll. Discard Daredevil and play the Troll. I think something that I probably should have done is just Finale for Asmo. Play Asmo and kill both these creatures with the extra food that I get from the cookbook here. I think because I didn't do that, this game spirals a bit out of control from the Guide of Souls, and I could have just played it a bit slower. I have the inevitability of Troll King if I just keep his board clear. So opponent shocks himself down to 13 and plays Ocelot Pride. And a Journey, Amtraptor, and they flip a Flage, which just kills my Asmo. So you can see I've tutored Asmo and it's achieved nothing. All it's done is put an extra cookbook into play. So yeah, I think playing it slower takes them off the Pride and the Guide. They can still Flage they would have had the perfect amount of energy, but they can't attack me for 4 in the air. They would have had no energy left over and no Guide of Souls, obviously. I draw a Samwise Steel Seeker and I decide to attack ball combat. Just to see how they want to block, so I know what to dig for with the Steel Seeker. I could flip a Phoenix here or something like that. But I thought it would be better to see what to dig for. I decided to bin the Finale, which could have been a mistake, but it's fine because I end up having an Asmo on top anyway. And then I bring back my Troll King. I think I'm just in race mode here. Hopefully, I don't just die this turn. But opponent has a Static Prison for a first Troll King. And then Goblin Bombardment. This is lethal. So he attacks. Pride gets flying. He does 7 damage to me in the air, and then he's gonna have 7 permanents on the field to ping me out with Goblin Bombardment. So we just got a turn 4 lethal through quite a big. We had good blockers, but the flying was just a bit too much. So yeah, definitely punished for not killing that Guide of Souls earlier on. And I concede the game. I go in for game 2. I side slightly differently to game 1, match 1. These are my first games against Energy, so I'm just trying to find out what works. I bring in pretty much the same, but I change Haywire Might for the Soul Guide Lantern. So I have 2 Haywire Mights instead of 1-1 split with Soul Guide. This hand is fine. It's not my most exciting hand in the world, but it functions. It's got Urza Saga plan, which we can play towards. And if I draw an Asmo, I can hold this Ent to cycle to put Asmo online. Opponent forces my Ent goes down to 15, and I draw Endurance. The opponent's Raptor flips into an Orcish Bowmaster, which brings my face down to 19. And I decide not to play out my Endurance. I just want to make a food at the end on the end step, so that my as a Saga token is slightly bigger when it comes in. I decide to Malevolent Rumble and pick up the Seiju from the Rumble. Obviously, this can help if they have a Static Prison or a Blood Moon or something like that. Opponent forces me again and takes Endurance, obviously. It's the only thing they can really take. And then they swing in. I decide not to make a construct to block, because it'll be a 2/2, but it's pretty weak. Maybe I should have blocked. They tapped out of Bowmaster, so I don't need to be scared of that. And then they play Oslo Pride with no life gain, so that does nothing. It's just a 1-mana 1/1. And I make a construct which just eats a Galvanic Discharge on the end step. I draw Finale for turn. I think this is an amazing spot to get Crack Clan Shaman. Like, one activation, just destroy this food, takes out their whole board. But instead, I decided to get Asmo and then try and use her to kind of power through the game. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think this was correct. I think just getting a Shaman, destroying their whole board state, it would be a 1 for 3, or 1 for 4, depending how you want to look at it. And then I have a Troll King sitting in hand, like, ready to come out. I get my extra good book on the field, and then the opponent attacks me for 3. I play around Bowmaster by not blocking. I block either of those creatures, my Asmo dies. But Static Prison comes and takes my Asmo away. So I use the cookbooks first, and then I Besage you afterwards. In this way, if they kill my Asmo and ETB, then I can still kill one of their creatures in response. So yeah, we Besage you, a Static Prison, and I think they kill Asmo here. No, they get an Elegant Parlor. They search for an Elegant Parlor. I get my cookbook into play, and then I kill their Raptor. They've got 1 card left in hand, so I'm feeling pretty fine with my situation. If their last card is a removal spell, then it's not amazing. But yeah, I played around Bowmaster last turn, and then I didn't this turn, and I get mega punished for it. I could have just taken 3 damage here. And then just being on eat and food plan. Opponent puts Gigantha to hand and plays out a land, so their hand is just Gigantha. I make food with my Daredevil and then put the Troll King into play and put the Haywire Might into play. We've had a few little mistakes with this matchup. I think it's definitely winnable. We saw it in round 1, but I think I need to play this matchup slower and just take the more controlling route. A few turns where I just decided to put pressure into play, and it was rough. My opponent plays Guide of Souls and then plays Gigantha, which gives them enough energy, and they have haste from the Arena of Glory, so they can swing for 7 in the air. So jump block it, try and survive, try and find a way out of here. Noticeably that Gigantha takes 2 Asmo activations to kill. I go up to 8 food, so I'm pretty fine for that, and I eat 1, just so I don't die. We're going to take 7 in the air here down to 6. So I'm dead next turn to this Gigantha if I don't find an answer, or I just eat more food. And Ocelot Pride is scary with the City's Blessing. They gain a bunch of my life here, and I can eat another food in the end step, just to try and give me a little bit more turns, a few more turns. I top deck another Feasting Troll King, which is pretty nice, so I attack with my one to see how they want to block. They're probably fine just taking 7 here, which they do. But my creature has vigilance and trample, so there's no reason not really to attack. If it trades with a bunch of air creatures, it's good for me, I think. I get my Troll King into play, and I've now got activate Here I Might and activate as Saga available to me. My opponent swings in for exactly 10. No, exactly 11. No, yeah, it's 10. So my opponent swings in for 10 in the air, which I can't block. I take a bit of a greedy line here. I Haywire Might my own food token, and this way I can still activate as a Saga, and I still gain enough life to survive, but I'm dead to Bowmaster. But my opponent's 2 out of 4 Bowmasters down, so I think that's fine to be dead to Bowmaster. Also dead to Flage, I guess, but I'm dead to Flage. Not evilly, but it's pretty hard for me to survive something like that. I make my Construct on end step, and then here I float a mana, and I'm gonna grab a Shadow Spear. So if I equip this to my Construct, and then make all my foods, and then play my Goose out, I'm gonna have exactly lethal in the attack step, even if they block with every creature. So that's what I end up doing. I make all my food, my Construct's an 11-11. I play out Goose, it's a 12-12. So I got 26 trample damage, and I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blocking damage, so exactly lethal. Oh no, we're 2 over lethal anyway. But my opponent's last card in hand, what they top decked last turn, was Fragrant Charm, which can destroy their construct, and then they chump block with 1 creature, go to 1 HP, and then obviously have lethal on the clapback. For my third matchup here, I actually lose the dice roll on this one. I keep my opening 7. It's got Asmo, Cookbook, and Daredevil, so against any creature matchup, I'm in a very good spot. My opponent goes turn 1 fetch land and then surveils a Young Wolf into the yard, so I think I'm against Yawgmoth and I play out a Wall of Roots. I just create a food and then Forest Cycle my Generousent and get Asmo into play. This way I can kill Wall of Roots here as well, which is super nice. It stops him from ramping out a turn 3 Yawgmoth. Like the appeal of Wall of Roots is that it has a high toughness, but that doesn't matter to us. My opponent turned 3 Viscera Seers and then Birthing Rituals, and they sacked Viscera Seer into Samwise. Now I recognize this list, it's from someone in the free Discord, it's from Jonas in the free Discord, and this is who I'm playing against. So he has like it's not actually got Yawgmoth in it, it's a Samwise list, with Amalia and Samwise, and then the Young Wolf is just for Birthing Ritual value mostly. So he has Samwise on the field, doesn't particularly matter. I've done a rumble, got back a second cookbook, make a second food, kill the Samwise, and then I'll use Soul Guide Lantern to exile Samwise from his graveyard. And opponent scoops to this, which I think is a little premature, but it's okay because the Samwise is like Asmos really have Samwise to deal with, and then a second piece of hate. I just slide in and out some hate, so I slide in some hate pieces and then slide out some of my tempo pieces, the trolls and a phoenix. I don't think I need to be fast in this matchup, I just need to be controlling. Opponent manages to force my Underworld Cookbook here. My hand was already pretty slow and was relying on Cookbook Daredevil to get going. I wasn't expecting the forces. I was hoping to turn to Rumble into play Cookbook here. So I'm turn to Rumbling into Haywire Might, which is fine, but it's not ideal. An opponent can just combo off here if they have the nuts, which they don't. They cast an Orcish Bowmaster and kill my Haywire Might and create food. So I go up to 20 life here versus a 12 life, which is quite nice. I feel like I'm pretty padded in terms of beatdown plan, but we have got a bit of power into play. They hit me for 2 and then play Golden Familiar. Now all we need is Viscera Seer. Pretty close to winning the game. I just slam a Stomping Ground untapped and then pass. Pretend like I've got better interaction than I do. I've just got Force of Vigor, Hardcast. Opponent plays out his spells down to 0 cards in hand now. He has Marionette Apprentice and Young Wolf. He doesn't attack me in case I've got Endurance, I guess. I top deck a Lightning Bolt and a Bolt with Samwise, which drains me for 1 from the Marionette Apprentice. And then I Surveil. Opponent swings in with everything. I block the Marionette Apprentice. Just try and reduce damage as much as I can. Go down to 9 life, and then I'll eat food to get back up to 12. Sorry, no, I create a food, sorry. Yeah, opponent's got a pretty wide board. I keep Rumble on top for my Surveil. It's probably better than your average draw, and the Rumble sees nothing good. Just sees 3 lands and unfortunately it can't get back. Sorry, it unfortunately can't get back Finale. I cycle my Generous then and hold up the Force of Vigor still. My opponent eats a food to gain life and drain me for 1, and then casts Endurance and shuffles my graveyard back into my deck. I had nothing important in my graveyard, but I did have a lot of fluff that I had managed to get out of my deck. It's now on the bottom, but when I fetch, it's going to go back into the deck. That's things I can draw. I block like this, and then you can sack the spawn in response before damage and use it to eat food, gain some life, and then I'll get a basic mountain and eat another food and get some more life. I'm just trying to stabilize as much as I can. My best draw here is probably the Crackland Shaman, but even then that's not great because the Marionette's on board. I'm going to really struggle to survive with ping some of that. I draw a Haywire Might, so I just play it out. I could play out Feast and Troll King here, but I'm more dead if I do that. I have lower life total doing that. Because I can only block 1 creature. And then I just die to a Meat and Food. So, I have to play Haywire Might, eat food, and then I essentially gain 5 life and a block. I don't think I've got any outs in this scenario here. The Force of Vigor's looked really bad. Like, Force of Vigoring food is terrible. I make food and draw a Generous End, which I cast, and then I will concede. Because I can't survive the next turn cycle. He has 2 drains on board with food tokens on top of other attackers. Going into game 3, I want to bring in a Troll King and a Phoenix. I just felt I had like not enough pressure, and I bring in the Surgical Extraction. The Force of Vigor felt not good, so I took it out. I just sat my hand dead all game, and I took out a Steel Seeker and then take out a Gilded Goose. No idea what that flashing was, sorry, in the recording. I get my opening 7 on the play, Stomping Ground with a couple of Lightning Bolts and as a Saga. Then I got a Phoenix and a Troll, which I just brought back in, which is kind of nice. I have a lot of pressure and some removal. My opponent does actually manage to play well around the removal by going Young Wolf turn 1 into Haywire Might as a Saga, but my opponent was on a multi-5, so in a pretty bad situation. If I just play on my mountain here and then hold up 2 Lightning Bolts, I'm probably stopping a lot of what they can do. I would say I'm not going to Lightning Bolt the Young Wolf, but taking 1 a turn isn't too bad. Opponent plays out 2 Mana Dogs, a Halfling and a Goose, so I just bolt both of them. And pray, or like, you know, I'm just waiting for a top deck that can let me get this Asmo into play, and then I can put these Phoenix Trolls into the bin. I draw Malevolent Rumble, one of the best cards in the deck, and I see Crackland and I see Generous End. Crackland's really cool here. But there's no way of really using it, so I just cycle Generous End using the spawn mana, which allows me to play Asmo, and then I can get the cookbook going next turn and start putting this Phoenix and this Troll away and getting them out onto the field. Opponent has Young Wolf, he's got 2, Wildgrowth Walker, pass, he has 2 cards left in hand. I draw a Goose, which is really nice. It allows me to get to 2 food, and I can kill the Wild Growth Walker here. Which I just do at Sorcery 3. I don't want any fuckery going on. I don't want to lose to like a card or call in response, so I can just do it at Sorcery speed. I'll bestow my Phoenix, exiling the Generous End to give my Asmo 5/5 and flying, so it can go over right Young Wolf. I'll attack in for 5 and then play my Commercial District and Surveil a Phoenix to the yard. So opponents on 11 life knows believe that's a 2-turn clock, just over 2-turn clock, and they also have a food, so we have a few draw steps here to try and get out of this. I draw a Daredevil. Obviously Daredevil's great, Goose is great. This is showing the value of a Goose that's just sat on the board. Just making two foods a turn is super valuable. It's not great against these Young Wolves, but we don't need to kill the Young Wolves. We can just ignore them. We fly over the top again for 7 damage now with 2 Phoenixes, getting down to 4. That's putting an opponent obviously dead on board. We need something big here, which they draw Druid Cure, and they gift me a card. This returns 3 creatures to the battlefield, which is pretty cool. It doesn't do too much here, but it does buy them an extra turn because they can jump with Goose, which I can just kill. But even if they do that, they can Haywire Might exile one of my Phoenixes, and then I can only swing for 5 damage, and they'll gain 2 life, so it'll be a 6. So obviously I just kill the Goose, and then swing for 7, make them do the Haywire Might play, which will put them on 1 HP. It turns off fetch lands. And they're just on top deck in here. You know, they top deck by Druid Cure. Opponent does actually top deck Amalia. So in response, I just kill the Wild Growth Walker, and that's the end of the game. That's just gonna seal the deal. There's nothing they can do. They can gain 3 life, but that's dead. So for match number 4, I lose the die roll, and my opening hand is unkeepable. It's got double as a Saiga as my only land drops. My second hand is pretty good. I put back my my second copy of Finale of Devastation. My opponent goes Dark Slick Shaw's Pass, obviously a frog matchup. I draw my 3rd Finale for turn, which is pretty funny. But I just play for a spell land, and I keep a cookbook on top, which I immediately play, and somehow it resolves. I was not expecting that. I discard a Phoenix and then try to resolve an Asmo, which does also resolve. So my opponent's got to counter spells in hand. He fatal pushes the Asmo, and I fetch my cookbook from the deck. My opponent spells Bowmaster into the yard. I guess I feel like they don't need the pressure. But then they follow up with a frog. I draw a lightning bolt, which is pretty useless against a frog. So I just cast Malevolent Rumble, which resolves again. And I take the boots, putting 2 Troll Kings and a Daredevil into the grave, which is huge value. Probably one of the best rumbles we'll see all day. I cast the second cookbook using the Scion mana, which triggers my Daredevil, puts it back into hand, and I make 2 more food, which I'm now on 3 food, and I can put Troll King into play for 0 mana on turn 3. A 7/6 with Vigilance and Trample is really hard for this Psychic Frog to deal with. I get 2 food in turn, so in 2 turns I can put another Troll King into play, and I also have a Detective's Phoenix in the bin. My opponent spells again and puts Flank onto his Psychic Frog, gives it another counter to deal me 2 damage and draw a card. He discarded a land to do that. I draw a second Daredevil, so what I do here is on my second activation of Cookbook, I leave the Daredevil in the graveyard instead of bringing it back to hand. This way I can use Detective Phoenix onto my Troll King by exiling the Daredevil and the Rumble for 6 mana value. Just because it was a redundant copy, I didn't see the point in keeping it in hand. It doesn't help me play around Graveyard Hate, but I'm not particularly playing around Graveyard Hate. Game on, and having a flying 9/8 is just ridiculous. It's got Trample as well, so we can't even block it particularly well. My opponent casts Orcish Bowmaster, pings my face, gives themselves one more draw step, and then concedes the game. So yeah, hugely dominant win from a Troll King and a Phoenix. I think I sideboard kind of wrong in this match, so we'll look at my initial sideboard here. I'm bringing in Endurance Needle for Frog, Surgical Extraction also for Frog, and then Vexing Bauble, and I'm just trimming some pieces. Notably, I trim both of my Lightning Bolts because it's really bad against Frog and it's really bad against Murktide. What it is good against is Harbinger of the Seas. So we're just hoping we don't see a Harbinger. Again, I have to mulligan, and then I find this hand, which is decent. I need to resolve a Rumble for it to be noteworthy, to be honest. But I draw another Saga, which allows me to at least have some sort of pressure going on the board. So I play the Saga and then fire off my Rumble. My opponent always does Surveil, a land to the yard. They Spell Snare Rumble. Kind of surprised to see the Spell Snare. I don't know how many 2-drops, but I guess my opponent doesn't particularly know that. And then they fetch a Swamp and Cling to Dust to cycle. And I'm kind of scared. This probably means Harbinger is coming in, and it does, and it kills my other Saga. From here on out, I don't really do anything, neither does my opponent. I just sort of pass turns. I'm really hoping for Generous Scent to come in these top draws. Generous Scent is probably by far my best draw here. Gets me discard value online, but I don't know. It's not worth it. Anyway, I just pass back a bunch of times. My opponent passes back a bunch of times. They find a Bowmaster to increase the clock. Pass it back again. I'm still not technically out of the game, so I might as well play it out. I'm not worried about time. I find Cookbook, which can allow me to start making food, but it just eats a counterspell and a concede. I bring in the Lightning Bolts back, and I trim the Vexing Bauble and Surgical Extraction. These were both, like, when I brought them in, just some experimental sideboard, and I've played this blue-black matchup quite a few times, and I'm undefeated against it, so I thought, maybe these are some cards I can afford. They just seem like luxury cards in the matchup and things I don't particularly need. But yeah, the matchup with this deck is really good against blue-black. I've not lost a matchup against it yet. Turn 1, I have Cookbook Daredevil, and turn 2, I have Rumble, so we're just going to go for that line. My opponent's preordained. I get to keep Soul Guide Lantern to get over the Urza Saga here. Obviously, Saga's bad against the Harbinger, and Soul Guide is fine versus just their general game plan. So I use the Spore. I use the Scion to exile Preordain here. The reason I do it this early on in the game is just because my opponent's tapped out. I might as well just have the big Soul Guide sitting there. I over Surveil, see Generous Scent, put it into the graveyard. Don't need another land here, and I'll try and cast a Steel Seeker, which inevitably eats a counterspell. Steel Seeker's way too much value for them to let resolve, so it's good for my opponent to have a natural counterspell there as opposed to a removal spell. If we cast a land, we play a land, sorry, and they cast a Spell Bomb. I'll cycle a Generous Scent, which turns Asmo online here. This is really nice. I can play around counterspell because I have Asmo and Finale. Asmo resolves, and then they co-sign my Cookbook, which I was a little surprised to see. But I've got Asmo with 3 food on board. They've got a Spell Bomb, so I can't really use my Cookbook. But I mean, that's fine. I do find here though a Goose and a second Daredevil, which is really nice. And I play my Goose out, it triggers my Daredevil. My opponent tanks for quite a while here in the game, and then decides to co-sign my Daredevil as opposed to just popping the Spell Bomb. Which means I still can't use this Cookbook that's on the field, but if I untap with a Goose and then my Goose is filling for a roll of Cookbook anyway, they decide to Surveil and keep a cat on top, which is a fatal push for my Asmo. In response, I destroy their graveyard, so I could have preemptively done this and then stopped them from casting Murktide, but I thought if they cast Murktide I can kill it, and if they cast a kill spell before they cast Murktide I can just kill the graveyard, so I do that, kill their graveyard. Cast Finale for X is 2 for X is 0 to go and find Asmo. I probably should cast it for X is 1, which plays I think it plays around Spell Snare. I'm not 1000% sure if that works, but I'm pretty sure playing Legacy 1 gets around Spell Snare. Anyway, my opponent fetches in response, and then finds a considers again, bins a Bloodstain Mire, and seemingly draws nothing. I get the Asmo out of my graveyard, put it into the field. We don't have a chance to respond with a Nihil because you need to let. That's not how it works. You need to preemptively respond with Nihil if you want to stop me from getting it from grave. And then I just cast Daredevil as a 4-2. I'm never discarding it because of his spell bomb, so there's no point trying to. My opponent casts Frogtide as a 6-6. I've got 3 food on board, but I'm untapping with Goose, so I can kill both of these creatures. He's got 1 card in hand. So if I kill this and then try Goose in, if he pushes now, I can just activate my cookbook. Making food with a Goose also triggers the Daredevil that's already in the yard. I sort of forgot about at this point, but it's okay because I can just Asmo kill the frog and then in response I sacrifice a cookbook. I discard a cookbook to get my Daredevil back out of the yard, so then it's not exiled. My opponent draws a card off his spell bomb. I just hardcast a Phoenix as a 2-2 flyer with haste. Smack my opponent for 9 damage here, leaving them dead on board. They've got 2 cards in hand, and they need a big top deck here because I have recursive attackers. They draw and they proceed to concede. So yeah, pretty dominant showing against the Dimir deck here. Match 5 here. I accidentally cut out my opponent's turn 1. Obviously they're on the play and both players kept 6. Both players kept 7, sorry. I'm going turn 1 Forest. My opponent's gone turn 1 Shocking, Water Grave Cycle, Lorien revealed. So in response to that, I cash in my Daredevil for food. This way I'm playing around main deck Cling to Dust, which is common-ish as a one-of. My opponent plays Godless Shrine into Psychic Frog, so they're on Esper, which is something I've not seen before. And hopefully something I don't see again. This deck is very interesting for my opponent. Game 1 doesn't really show it, but game 2 does. My hand's absolutely crazy, by the way, in this game 1. I've got turn 2 Feast and Troll King from Cookbook Goose, which is, I don't know how they ever deal with this. He surveils away Fatal Push, pushes my Goose, gives his Frog flying to draw and draw a card. But I don't think it's going to matter at all. Goose, like the Troll is just way too big, and I've also got Phoenix in hand. I decided not to strap my Phoenix to my Troll. To do it, I can't even do it actually. I need both of my other cards in hand into my graveyard to do that, so yeah, I just can just stick to the Saga plan. My opponent consuming corruptions, my construct token, which is something I didn't expect. And then I just untap and create another one, get my boots, strap them to my construct, and swing in for 12. My opponent wants to consider trying to find another answer to these constructs, puts a Tamir in the grave, draws a card. They can jump block, decide to block the Troll King instead of a construct. He could have blocked the construct and then traded with it with all the cards in hand. And then had a huge frog. But yeah, he surveils and just sees nothing on top of his deck, concedes the game with 2 HP. I go for a similar game plan as I did last time, so I bring in Endurance Pithing Needle. This time I do try the Surgical again, and I cut the 3rd Goose because Goose can just die. Okay, so game 2, my opponent's gone Archive, kept the card on top, passed, I've put Goose into play. My hand's fairly good here. It's pretty slow, but it's fine. I can just play around this Goose. I can just make food On this turn, my opponent surveilled both turns. I just don't need to play into this open fountain spell. I can just keep making food. Pass them back to my opponent, I'll make one on his end step. Untap, draw, play Urza Saga here. I've played around Harbinger enough, but my opponent's a 3-color deck, and they're not giving any shits about game basics, so I don't really care for it too much. Just play my Urza Saga while I drew, and pass, and then I can either flash in Endurance if I need to, or make another food with the goose. My opponent casts a One Ring, which I really didn't expect. They're full-blown Esper control, not just splashing white. So I Endurance my opponent, shuffle their graveyard back into their deck, take them off. Frogtide. I'm kind of scared of them having Wrath of the Skies. It does destroy Urza Saga, and it destroys my cookbooks. I can just play Urza Saga game plan here. I don't need to play out cards in my hand because of Wrath of the Skies. I'm just gonna commit to what's on board. My opponent makes another One Ring. There's back-to-back turns of One Ring, and Cycle Lauren revealed. Make my 2/2, and then make another 2/2, or another 3/3 here. With the ability on the stack, my opponent plays around Pithing Needle, draws a card, which I think is smart. Because I am going to Pithing Needle with One Ring. I've got 8 cards in hand, and I've got 5. 4. But I've got a big board stake, so I'm kind of in a good spot right now. And then my opponent shows me Supreme Verdict, which I've never been so happy to be Supreme Verdicted. If it was Wrath of the Skies, I would be eating shit right now. But Supreme Verdict I can beat. So I fetch up a Stomping Ground within the deck a tiny weeny bit. Discard a Detective's Phoenix, because this turn I can discard a Feasting Troll King and attack them for 9. My opponent has Surgical Extraction for my Troll King, and there's nothing I can do about it. It takes all my Troll Kings, which is a big part of my win con. I cast Asmo. My opponent's completely tapped out. We've used their 0-mana spell, or a 0-mana spell, so I just kill the frog, play a land, and pass. I do consider cycling this Generous End so that I can equip my Phoenix to my Asmo. At the moment, I've only got 5 mana to discard, but I'm thinking I just want to hardcast this Generous End. It's kind of, outside of actual counterspell, it's kind of hard for them to counter this. And it's hard for them to fatal push. So I think Generous End is a pretty good game plan, place to be. I don't shock in my land, I draw another land, and that's the 6 mana that I need. So I get a basic forest and cast my End. My opponent has got the 3rd One Ring on the field. That's 3 in the top 20, and that's 2 Supreme Verdicts in the top 20 as well. Followed up by a Tamiyo. Pretty scary. Pretty rough beating 3 pretty hard to beat 3 rings and a Tamiyo. I used the Cookbook's second ability, which buys a creature back from the graveyard, if you don't know. Very useful in these kind of matchups, and I can replay my Asmo. Just kill the Tamiyo, and then Asmo eats a Fatal Push. Play out the Cookbook that reacts my fetches and pass the turn. My opponent just plays Urbog and passes the turn. I draw another Generous End, which obviously I just slam. My opponent's not got many answers to this card once it's resolved. Maybe a 3rd Supreme Verdict.
But yeah, they consider put another Tamio into the graveyard, and then they actually draw Teferi Time Reveler here and bounce my Genoscent. Oh no, they don't. They bounce for One Ring. I think this is the biggest mistake of the match. They bounce a One Ring so that they can use theirs. Sorry, they bounce a Pithing Needle so that they can use their One Ring to draw. So they just draw on 2 cards. I draw a Detective's Phoenix, so I decide to hardcast the Phoenix and not bestow it because of the amount of mana value I have in my grave isn't much. I have enough to bestow twice. So I cast my Phoenix, it gets counterspelled. I can then bestow, exile and Genoscent, and then my other Phoenix I can bestow, exile and all 6 mana value I've got left in my graveyard. My opponent has 2 cards in hand. I have a 9/11 flying with haste. They have 1 draw to try and get out of this, because I can just Pithing Needle again the One Ring. They have to board wipe me twice because of how Phoenixes work. If they just remove the Ent and then I still have 4 power in play, or they need to find the 4th One Ring. They look at the top card of their deck and they concede the game. So this deck's performed really well. We're about to go to a 4-1 screen of a league, and we'll just go into the wrap up. Okay, so for a deck wrap up, I think this deck is really strong. It's what I want to take to my local RCQ. In the paper around my area, Frog is really popular. I played a league before the league that I recorded and went 5-0. And I think overall matchups I'm like 5-0 against Dimir decks, which is really nice considering how popular Dimir is in my area. The deck has game against really interactive decks, which is popular in paper, but it does struggle against spell-based combo decks. So I had my first league with the deck. I've changed a couple of sideboard options, but my first league with the deck I lost to Belcher, and I lost to like some Electro Dominance combo stuff like this. It does struggle against that kind of thing, but luckily for me, in paper they're not very popular, especially around my area. Like there's a large investment to buy like a mono blue Belcher deck, when none of the cards are really useful outside of mono blue Belcher. So I'm thinking this is the deck I want to take to RCQs. It just has game ending potential and resilience against interaction, which is what I want from my deck. And yeah, as I said, I have 5-0'd with this deck, and I have 4-1, and I'm currently and my first league was 2-3. I will be open about full results. Yeah, I did 2-3, which was the loss against just spell-based decks. But yeah, since then it's felt really strong. And I hope it's something. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give me a like, comment, leave me some constructive criticism in the comments. Maybe tell me something's bad, tell me something's good. I don't know. Thank you very much for watching.